Eric Granado, second in the championship, starts from pole position. The first time he'll be on pole this year. And championship leader Dominic Aegerter starts from the middle of the second row in fifth. So how will that affect today's race?
Well, I'm not sure about what we can hear in our headsets at the moment, because we might be having a couple of technical issues, but I think we might be having a Fran Wild down on the grid trying to chip in. Fran, are you there? What's going on?
I like how you said we might be able to Fran Wild. I can become a verb if necessary. No, I didn't actually have an update for you, so it might have just been a little glitch in your ear, but I am indeed down on the grid. I've got my poncho on just in case, because the skies are a little bit grey now, but let's see.
Okay, thanks very much, Fran. Keep us, be sure to keep us posted on any changes to the weather conditions as dire straits ring out over the grandstand. This race was supposed to be 6 laps, but it's actually been increased in distance by 1 lap, so it's going to be 7 laps overall. And the reasons for that, well, we'll come back to that, because we're going to pass down to Fran. She's managed to grab hold of Nicolo Canepa, who qualified 6th yesterday.
He did, and yes, we will go back to that, but we'll ask you about it, Nicolo. We've got an extra lap today. A few times we've had a lap taken off, but if it stays dry, we'll have 1 more lap. How are you feeling ahead of this one? Do you have a target, a plan of attack? I guess you're pretty much racing race by race.
Yeah, it's good that we can do 1 lap more. For sure, it's gonna be more interesting race. And about me, I want to, as always, try to fight for the podium. I'm in P6. I think it's possible, and I will try my best to stay with the fast guy in front.
I was going to say, are you paying much attention to the likes of Eric and Matteo and Domi just ahead of you, or is it your race in your head?
No, just my race in my head. I'm not thinking about the championship, and I'm just thinking about enjoying this race.
Well, we are too, and I'm sure we will. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Fran. Thanks as well to Nicolo Canepa. Yes, starting from the inside of the second row, 6th place for him. What can the Italian do today? But yes, Matt, obviously a slightly longer race. 2 reasons for that. I think it's because of the improved capabilities of the Energica Eagle Corsa efficiency motor this year. And also the fact that the new chicane between turns 1 and 3 is not quite as demanding on the batteries of these bikes. So they've been able to get another lap out of it, which is, I think, a welcome addition.
Hey, I mean, if you want to prolong the excitement, the overtakings and everything like that, well, I'm all for it, although I'm not sure how well my heart will take it. That's the only question in my mind for here today. I mean, yes, with that chicane then, it's a lot faster than people are anticipating. As Eric Granado so succinctly put it, more corners is much better. Who wants to go in a straight line?
Exactly. Well, we just mentioned that the championship leader, Dominic Aegerter, will start from the middle of the second row. He's a bit of a challenge on his hands. We're going to pass down to Fran. She's with the title leader.
I am indeed. So, Domi, they were just saying you're just behind some key rivals here. With that new chicane being new territory in terms of the race, can you see almost a positive from that? Because they're likely to get there first, and you can have a look, see what the situation's like, and maybe take a little bit less risk. How are you going to approach this one?
MotoE is always difficult to make any tactic. Sure, it's important to start from 1st or 2nd row. Now we are in 5th place. We have 7 laps, 1 lap more than usual or that expected. I hope the weather stays dry all the laps, and yeah, we will be for sure a very close race, big battle, some slipstream, good overtaking spots with hard braking. So yeah, I just try to be in front when the race ends, and it's important to be maybe in front of Granado and Ferrari.
Thanks very much. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Fran. Thanks as well to Dominic Aegerter. He does lead the championship by 31.5 points from Eric Granado. He's 45.5 points ahead of Matteo Ferrari and 60 clear of Casadei. And the 3 riders that trail him in the championship, well, they start from the 1st row of the grid. Granado, Casadei and Ferrari was the order in Q2 yesterday.
Well, I think one thing I would say, though, I mean, whilst MotoE's been on a pretty substantial summer break, of course, I was racing in between. Dominic Aegerter fighting also for the World Supersport Championship. We spoke a bit about it and more at length yesterday during the qualifying sessions, but of course, those of you who follow that series, you will have seen the controversy that Domi was involved in, faking an injury to try and get a red flag pulled out. Something you're more likely to see in football than motorcycle racing. But I do wonder, relevant to this race, and the reason why I bring it up, if it could be a sign that the pressure is mounting on Domi. Well, it starts from the second row. This is the front row. It is Ferrari, Casadei and Granado, and it's very shortly we'll be going racing here in MotoE. Well then, the tension mounts, the adrenaline starts to spike. Let's have a look at the grid then for this MotoE race. The first one here in Austria. Granado on pole from Casadei and Ferrari. Row 2 is headed by Kevin Zanoni. Then you have your series leader Dominic Aegerter and Nicolo Canepa in 6th place. One row behind then we have row 3, heading it, Xavi Cardalus from Mikel Pons and Alex Skrig, the ever lanky rookie who is seriously impressive. I think we're probably having a little bit of trouble with the starting grid here. Row 4 will be Hector Garzo, Jordi Torres and Hikari Kubo. Quite a surprise to see Jordi Torres down so low on the grid from yesterday's qualifying, but hey, we zoom on. Kevin Manfredi, Xavi Flores, Maria Herrera are row 5, Bradley Smith and Mark Alcoba are row 6. No Alessio Finello here today or this week, and he sustained an injury in one of the practice sessions and crashed there, sadly.
Yeah, various fractures to his right foot in a crash in FP1 yesterday morning on Friday. So a couple of guys to keep an eye on a little further down the order. Mikel Pons has obviously been a guy fighting for podium so far this year, middle of the 3rd row. Jordi Torres, of course, the reigning champion, not quite fully fit after that leg break at Le Mans. He's from the middle of the 4th row. And Hikari Kubo had a good race here in 2021. He was 5th. Watch out for him coming through from 12th. Also Bradley Smith, 16th man. Not going so well for the Englishman, unfortunately, here this weekend. No,
of course, he continues his adaptation on the new Energy Ego courses, the ones he rode back in 2019, substantially different. The last time we visited, last year, Tulovic took the win from Granado and Aegerter. Aegerter, who started from pole, was 4th. 2019, the first race here in Austria, it was De Meglio, Simeon and Smith who were on the podium, with De Angelis and Ferrari right there in the middle of your screens. So he was in 5th. Well then, ladies and gentlemen, MotoE, some of the craziest racing you will see anywhere in the world about to take place in front of your very eyes. Buckle up, get ready for this one. Have a cold flannel just to the side of your sofa or wherever you're watching from. Have it ready because you might well need it come at the end of this race. I mean, this is where the tension just mounts. Adrenaline spikes, as I said, and that's just in the commentary box. I can't imagine what these guys are feeling as it's really crunch time in MotoE. Well, no revs up. We just wait for the silence to break. We wait for a bit more noise than just the circuit announcer. The red flag will depart from the front of the grid and MotoE will burst into life once again. Who will get the whole shot in towards turn 1? Will there be chaos at turns A, 2A and 2B? Well then, just moments away before we find out. Let's get ready to go. The silence will break. The red lights are on. And MotoE is go here in Austria. What a jump that was from Casadei. He's neck and neck with Granado. They bump on the run down towards turn 4. Zanoni's got the inside line. Casadei, though, he takes the whole shot through towards turn 2. Oh, he goes down the middle of the track. Oh, that's Ferrari's gone down. He's not collected by anybody else, fortunately, but that could well be his series bid over. It's Casadei from Zanoni, Granado, Aegerter and Pons in towards 2A and 2B.
Goodness me, Matteo Ferrari needs to buy a lottery ticket tonight. That was miraculous how he was avoiding someone else's crash.
Down to Smith. It's Smith down in the background on the exit of 2B. Oh, dearie me, what a shame for the Brits. Not been his weekend whatsoever, but it's Casadei. Oh, and Pons, another big twitch there. Goodness me. Neil, what's going on?
Yeah, these guys are having some serious issues with rear grip. That's Smith and Ferrari that look as though they've high-sided out at turns 1 and 2, and then Pons almost did the same coming out of 3.
Well, a big late braking manoeuvre there from Pons in towards turn 4. He goes up the inside of a Kubo up until like 7th or something like that there. There's confirmation that it was Smith went down, but we have Casadei from Zanoni, 2 Italians with a Brazilian. Chase hot on their heels. There is Smith walking away, limping, but mostly okay.
Yeah, good to see from Bradley Smith. Obviously, Matt was saying there, it's just not been his weekend qualifying down the order in 16th, but he'll have another bite at it tomorrow. We can see Dominic Aegerter, who's been a bit of a slow starter in races so far this year. He's had a decent start. He's obviously made up 1 position, but quite a bit of track to make up ahead of him to Eric Granado.
Yeah, this could be really crucial in the series overall standings. We come through the final corner then for the first time, and look at this then. The rider that was top of the FP1, FP2 standings by some way, Mattia Casadei. He was 0.340 ahead in the times, which is pretty big for MotoE. He leads the way ahead of Zanoni and Granado.
Yeah, and this is excellent stuff from Zanoni. He had to come through Q1 yesterday and then ended up putting it the front of the second row in fourth, but I feel that he's going to get passed here by Eric Granado, trying out turn 2A, forward overtaking maneuver, and he does it.
They run deep. They've sacrificed their exit well and truly on the run up towards turn 3, but I think if Granado managed to properly snooker Zanoni there, and then he's into second position, and now I'm trying to hunt down Mattia Casadei.
Casadei's been good off the line this year. He's also been very good on the first lap, and Eric Granado knows that also well. You can see they're desperate to get past Kevin Zanoni. As we look at Matteo Ferrari, how did the rest of the field, Matt, manage to avoid him when he was stranded on the exit of turn 1?
I'm not sure, but it looks like we've got another rider down. Sector 2, there are yellow flags out. So this is the replay of what happened at the start. We'll find out after this replay what happened to the someone who's caused a yellow flag in Sector 2. Ferrari's on the inside of your screens there. The number 11, keep an eye on him. It's high speed as we come out, and it's just a classic, well, not a high side, but an unfortunate slippage of the rear wheel, and he was so lucky not to get clipped and picked up.
Yeah, and you can see Canepa there just missed Ferrari's bike by a whisker. Obviously the Italian had to take avoiding action. He's down in 14th at the moment, and whoa, that is really scary. Thankfully Ferrari wasn't hit, is okay, and is back up on his machine. But
I would like to know what's going on. Why was there a yellow flag out? I'm not sure, but well, Casadei still leads at the end of lap 2 then, only 0.8 of a second ahead of Eric Granado then. Zanoni still holds third, but Aegerter is climbing all over the back of him. Cardaluce is returning from injury this weekend. He's there too, along with Pons.
Yeah, good stuff from Cardaluce, who's making decent progress here. You do feel that Kevin Zanoni is just holding this pack up here.
Pons! Does he go up the inside? Does he clip anybody? I can't tell, but it was neck and neck into 2A and 2B between him and Cardaluce. We're on board with Aegerter, so he was clearly fine. Cardaluce makes it through. I'm not sure how. Goodness me.
Yeah, absolutely. And Domi Aegerter needs to be careful here because he is currently 1.8 seconds off the leading rider, Mattia Casadei. Obviously, Casadei and Granado just exchanged fastest laps on lap 2. It is time to get serious now. If Aegerter wants to challenge for the win, he really needs to start moving past Zanoni in the next couple of corners.
Goodness me, Pons punched straight back at Cardaluce then into turn 4. He's clearly quite confident down at that part of the circuit there then. But Aegerter, he swarms all over the back of Zanoni. Oh, Cardaluce, he has a bobble and he's in the gravel. Does he keep it upright? He's trying to slow it down as desperately as possible. He just about does it. Goodness me, that's a save and a half. Well done, Xavi, but that's his race over. I think he'll be just thankful to have kept it upright. This is Aegerter versus Zanoni, though. Two of the most spectacular styles we have in MotoE, fighting it out for the final podium place.
Yeah, flashbacks to Le Mans right here with these two guys duking it out for position on the track. I mean, Cardaluce was looking pretty late, wasn't he, in the various braking zones around this track, and that obviously caught him out down at turn 6 there. A shame for him, but here comes Aegerter. We're going to see the first two guys setting fastest laps off the race once again. Granado 2/10 quicker than Casadei this time around, and Aegerter, well,
there he goes up the inside, and he manages to save his line just about, but he gets a bit twitchy on the exit there. Wow, so can Zanoni get him straight back? He's right neck and neck. Aegerter cuts towards the grass. He's the last of the late breakers in towards 2A, but does he sacrifice his line on the exit? No, he seems very competent through 2A and 2B.
Yeah, decent stuff that from Aegerter. I think third place here, considering the championship standards, wouldn't be too bad. He's obviously going to have to risk quite a bit. He's 2.2 seconds off the the leader at the moment, so the number 77 has it all to do with 4 laps to play.
Down out of turn 3 towards turn 4 we come, and it looks like Granado is closing in on Casadei as well. The fight for the lead is well and truly not over. Aegerter so strong on the brakes into turn 4, but gets squirrely under deceleration as well, but he keeps it planted, doesn't sacrifice his line. That's class through turn 4 and through turn 5 then. This seems where Aegerter's quite strong.
Absolutely, and look at what Granado has done in the past lap or so. He's pretty much hacked away at Casadei's advantage. It was around 0.9 of a second. It's down to around 1/4 of a second. You have to feel within the next lap, the number 51, well, he'll be in the lead.
Yeah, quite right. Well, the pressure's on for all the championship contenders then. It looks like Ferrari's well and truly out of it, although he's overtaken Nicolo Canepa now, actually, which is impressive enough. He's not going to catch Xavi Cardaluce 20 seconds up the road. But hey, we got another yellow flag in sector 2.
It's a turn 3, man. I'm looking out the commentary box. And look at this, I think a move is incoming. Eric Granado is poised. Can he make it into turn 1?
Yeah, could well do. I think it probably is Canepa who's gone down then, but
got the
Granado,
drive.
he's not quite pulled out. Well, Casadei is so notoriously strong on the brakes in MotoE. He was one of the quick adapters to the new forks, new front tyre, etc., the change of geometry and weight distribution on these bikes. Into 2A and 2B they come, and no overtakes there from Granado.
Yeah, Granado was 0.6 of a second faster than the Italian on that previous circuit, pretty much. Oh, and that's why Canepa's had an issue going up into turn 3. Yellow flags here, so absolutely no overtaking there. The Carrier Kubo having a look at Hector Garzo, but wisely deciding against that move.
Yeah, understandable that. And Dominic Aegerter in the background, he's dispatched and moved away from Mikel Pons and Kevin Zanoni. Zanoni falling back from 3rd to 5th now. He's got Garzo on his tail as well, who qualified in 10th position.
Yeah, absolutely. Granado not rushing this. He's got plenty of space behind them, 1.8 seconds. I mean, it's going to be a huge, huge ask for Dominic Aegerter to do that, and poor Nicolo Canepa just has not been his day at all, having to take avoiding action at the first turn to avoid Matteo Ferrari, and then we're not sure exactly what's happened, whether that's mechanical issues. Here comes Granado.
We've got Granado up the inside at turn 7, but will he sacrifice the line through turn 8? He does a little bit. Oh, Casadei on the cutback. They're going to be neck and neck coming out of turn 8 towards turn 9. Look at this, MotoE at its very best. It's another Austria classic. Casadei retains the lead.
Yeah, any thoughts that Granado was going to have this easy? Getting by Casadei does prove to be very, very difficult indeed, and maybe this fighting between the two pairs, or the pair at the front here, could allow Aegerter back into the fight.
Well, by the time that Casadei got his first victory back in Le Mans, it was a long time coming, wasn't it? He doesn't want to give up this potential second one without a fight. And Granado, he goes wide, he gets squirrely on the brake and he sacrifices it. He doesn't want to lose too much of an advantage. Oh, he has lost some ground to Casadei now. That could be crucial. We're on the penultimate lap.
Yeah, absolutely. It just shows you the challenge of trying to outbrake Casadei. You have to be right on the limit to be able to do that. And on that occasion didn't work, and a bobble there for Granado through the chicane. He is running very, very hard indeed. Needs to be careful here, because another mistake and the race will be Casadei's.
Yeah, well then, Dominic Aegerter looking to pick up the pieces then, isn't he? Out of turn 3 they come then. Oh, Zanoni as well. Oh, they're getting twitchy. It's not good for these guys. It is not all said and done by now then. It's looking a bit processional, but I tell you what, it is far from over in this MotoE race. In the penultimate lap, people getting a bit desperate. And then we're just hearing from Fran as well that he got a couple of raindrops in pit lane. It's all kicking off on this penultimate lap.
Goodness me, well, those mistakes from Granado at turn 1 and then at turn 2, that's cost him half a second. That was the advantage for Casadei through the first 2 splits. It was 0.6 of a second through sector number 2. Granado has a big, big deficit to catch up here with just over 1 lap to go.
Poor Zanoni from the fighting for the podium, maybe even the win at the start of the race, with that little mistake out of turn 3. Not so much a little mistake, but a huge one. He's been pushed back down to 7th now. We're through the penultimate corners and then the final one, and we start the final lap. Here we go then. All eyes. Aegerter is a second off Granado and Casadei. He's got a big job on if he wants to get that win, but I think he'll settle for a podium place.
Huge, huge lap here for Eric Granado. He's managed to well, tighten the advantage. He's got his hooks into Casadei up ahead. It was 0.6 of a second through sector 2. Over across the line, it was just 0.3 of a second, so he's half that. Can he get close enough to make a move towards the end of this lap?
Well, we're watching the chasing group, but the battle for 5th on the run down towards 2A and 2B. Pons ain't a million miles away from Aegerter. I'm not quite sure while we're watching these guys. I'd quite like to see what's going on between Casadei and Granado. Really crucial for the series lead. Here we are, back with the leaders then. Casadei going through with Aegerter. We're seeing these guys again. It's the final lap. I want to see the battle for the win, because that's going to be what determines this series come the end of the Cup. Here we go then. Casadei on the run to turn 4.
Yeah, Casadei's managing to hold his head high and keep his head together, because he actually extended out his lead by 0.2 in that first sector, so he is not feeling the pressure at all so far.
No, he's just getting into the zone like he did in FP1 and FP2, 0.3 ahead of the rest of the field, so he was in the practice sessions we had yesterday. Just supreme was Casadei, adapted so well. We're approaching the final sector now, Neil. Could well be all over for Granado.
Yeah, it could be. It's up to 0.8 of a second. You wonder whether Eric has actually just settled for second place. It's not a total disaster coming home ahead of Aegerter, of course. That will be 4 extra points for him in the championship final. Will be reduced to 27.5. You can see Casadei just needs...
Oh, he's thrown it away! Can you believe it? I cannot! Casadei is down, and his dream of a second victory is gone, and it's Granado who's going to take victory in a huge change for the World Cup Series. Can you believe it? Aegerter in second, Pons in third. Oh my goodness, Neil Morrison.
Well, what can you say about that? Mattia Casadei was riding the final lap of his life. He was 2 turns away from glory, and he's thrown it down the road. I think he was probably going to post the fastest lap of the race, you know, Matt, because he was actually gapping Granado by the tune of 0.2 of a second per sector. And, well, he just went a little over the limit. That is heartbreaking for the Italian. Not only does he lose the chance of victory in this race, but I think that is curtains on his championship challenge as well, mate.
Yeah, gotta be. I mean, how disappointing is that? But what a return also. You got a kudos to Mikel Pons there. A return to the podium for him after a scary crash back in Assen, but a win finally for Eric Granado after he took those opening 2 victories in Jerez. Well, he closes in at 5 points further on Dominique Aegerter. Title chase is on, Neil.
Yeah, you have to imagine this is going down to the wire at Misano, like we've seen in previous incarnations of this MotoE World Cup. And Dominique Aegerter, second place, all things considered. That is a pretty good day's work after a decent start and a pretty subdued first couple of laps. We've seen that a few times from Dominique. He's then been able to reel the riders in, but we haven't really seen the Swiss guy in real swashbuckling, dominant form through practice. So I think all things considered, he'll be quite happy with the second place today.
Yeah, I think so too. That's he needed what it needed to be done, essentially. If Eric Granado is going to be closing in on him, damage limitation was the aim of that, and he did just. I mean, of course, he capitalised on Casadei's mistake, but that's what it's all about. And I know, God, I mean, I get some messages sometimes. People say, "Hey, you get over dramatic with MotoE. It's not exciting, etc." Yeah, I sound tense in the final sector because it really is not over until it's over, and this is such a perfect demonstration of that.
Look, the rain flag was showing. Fran did tell us during the last lap that spots of rain were falling in pit lane. We saw the rain flag being displayed there going into turn 9. I wonder if that is the reason why Casadei crashed out. Maybe it was rain at that point, maybe.
The conditions were definitely still pretty good, and there were very few drops, but of all the few drops we've had, the most were definitely coming down then. So if you are pushing to potentially set that fastest lap, it's yeah, maybe part of the recipe for that late heartbreak there for Mattia Casadei.
Well, there is a reason as well why people call it mental rain as well. I mean, it could, you know, just all he had to do is squeeze that brake lever just a little bit too hard.
Yeah, maybe there was a little tiny bit of panic when he saw those rain flags being displayed coming in to turn 1. You can see there on Eric Granado's windshield as he nods his head coming across the line, knowing that he's been slightly fortuitous in today's victory. However, Granado has obviously suffered quite a bit of misfortune in the past, so he will take those 25 points and say thank you very much indeed. Interesting title fight we have, Matt. I would say from 4 potential contenders, I think it's down to 2 now.
Yeah.
This is a straight shootout between Aegerter and Granado.
Another one bites the dust, as they say then. Yes, because of course with that now, it's 178 points to Aegerter, 151.5 to Granado, 114.5 to Ferrari. Mathematically, Ferrari will still be within a shout. Casadei is now out beyond the 75 points. So mathematically a 3-horse race. But realistically speaking, we're looking at Dominique Aegerter versus Eric Granado for the title in MotoE. And wow, oh wow, bring on tomorrow, everybody. My throat hurts already, and I've still got another race to do with RedBull Rookies Cup here as well in Austria. Ah, brilliant stuff. Well, Eric is always blockbuster as well, isn't he, on his cool-down laps and that. He will absolutely love that. No win since the very start of the season.
Great to see Lucio Cecchinello there, team boss, team owner, of course, of the LCR team, looking so animated. It's been a tough old year, hasn't it, for that squad in MotoGP, with Taka Nakagami and Alex Marquez struggling to make the Honda competitive. But fine work there from the Brazilian. Didn't panic in the early laps. A few little mistakes when he tried to overtake Casadei. with a couple of laps still to play. But I think he had settled for second, man. Coming through sector number 3, Casadei's advantage was, I think, well over 6/10 of a second.
Yeah, got to himself a second, but then it just goes to show how much on the limit Casadei really was, how much he wanted that second victory of the season as well. He knew it was kind of now or never to try and chase them down in the title too. But it just wasn't to be, unfortunately, but that's racing. That's what happens, isn't it? Goodness me. How many twists and turns does this want to take? Dominic Aegerter then, I mean, that's a heck of a mullet he's got on there. It's a shame we're not having a MotoE race in Australia, because there's some mullets around there and he could well enter a local competition for best mullet, or worst.
The 1980s called, they want their haircut back.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Wow, guys, the silence you left after that just added to the brutality.
Well, you know, when you're a reigning World Supersport champion, you can wear whatever kind of hairstyle you like. So fair play, Tommy.
Well then, that's Eric Granado talking with his team about some of the rear end twitches they all had in that race. I mean, there was plenty of them. I mean, this is the problem, the challenge, I should say, rather, of the RedBull Ring in Spielberg, with those stop and start type corners with 100% torque at the rear wheel. Goodness me, how did they cope with that? How did this rider cope with that? Mikel Pons from the sidelines to Parc Ferme. Fran, how does he feel about that one?
Well, Mikel, welcome back to the podium. You made some excellent progress in that race, moving through, and you got third position, another trophy after quite a difficult time before summer break as well. You happy?
Yeah, I'm very happy because I struggled a lot this race before, and I crashed on Holanda. I suffered a lot after the crash, but I'm here on the podium, very happy. And I want to say thanks to my team, to my family, because they support me a lot these days that I suffer at home, looking at the other guys doing the races. But very happy, very happy. I know I don't have words to explain this.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks very much, Fran. Thanks as well to Mikel Pons, podium finisher today. And we were all very worried about Mikel after that crash at Assen. It was an ugly one where he fell out at the Struben and then was hit by another bike, but what a return to form, return from injury. That was just 7 weeks ago now, and from hospital to podium for the number 71. A great day all around then for Lucio Cecchinello's MotoE team.
Yeah, he'll be very happy with that one, won't he? Not too much success in the other series he competes in at the moment, so that is a little light among substantial bit of darkness, you could say, then at the moment. But cracking stuff from Pons. Great stuff from this rider here as well, Dominic Aegerter. I mean, we've got to hear about his race. I'd love to hear about the mullet as well. Not sure we've got time from Fran. What does he make of that result?
Well, Dominic, there was a fair bit of drama in that race, but not so much for you. Couple of wobbles, but in the end, pretty much the best result you could have hoped for after you had that huge gap at one point. Are you happy enough with second and those valuable points?
Yeah, for sure I would like to try to fight for the victory, but yeah, we pushed very hard. We was lucky or a little bit unlucky in the first corner when Ferrari crashed, so I needed to close the gas a little bit to avoid him to touch, and immediately there I lost a little bit the gap to Casadei and Granado, and then I was behind Zanoni, I think, yeah. So it was quite hard to overtake him. And finally I could overtake, so I could close slightly the gap. But you cannot go with the MotoE like 3 or 4 tenths faster per lap. So I was just too much far away. And now with the second place, I think we did a great job. For sure, Granado take 5 points from us, but we are still leading the championship. There is 3 races to go, and I hope tomorrow we can be a little bit closer to the top 3 to really fight in the last 2-3 laps for the victory.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, great stuff from the championship leader, Dominic Aegerter. We've had 9 races so far this year. Aegerter has finished first or second in 8 of them, Matt. And in that other race that he wasn't first or second, he was 4th. So it's been a year of just tremendous consistency from the number 77.
Yeah, he really came in this year and he was determined to get that World Supersport and MotoE double, wasn't he? And yeah, he did what he could today. I mean, this is the sort of ride you look back on, should he win it at the end of the year, and you think, yeah, That's the kind of ride you need to put in if you want to take this series title. Good on Domi. Very, very impressive indeed. But Granado, from one rider who did what he needed to do, that's exactly what Eric needed to do. You could say he got quite fortunate at the end, but you got to be in it to win it. He won't have an asterisk next to his name in the results book. He's down in part ferme with Fran.
He is indeed. So, Eric, as I was just saying, full race distance to the checkered flag today, a full 25 points. You had your own couple of little dramas and wobbles there, as did a few people, but in the end, great win for you. Exactly what you needed to do as the closest challenger. Is all you can do, win from here on out?
Yes, very happy. We did what we could do, the pole, and also win the race. I was struggling a little bit in the first laps. The tire was not so hot, and I was having a lot of movements on the bike, and that's why Mattia opened a gap in the first laps. And then I was very focused to catch him. When I arrived behind him, it was difficult to do my lines because he has a very different style and very different riding. But finally, I did 2 overtakes. I tried. It was not easy to overtake him because he entered very close. But finally, he had a crash. I hope he's okay. But I take it. I'm very happy with this win. I just want to say thank you to the team. We did a great job this weekend. I want to continue on this line tomorrow. And like always, I need to say in Portuguese, foi uma corrida muito disputada. Nas primeiras voltas o pneu não aqueceu muito, então eu tive vários movimentos nas primeiras 2 voltas, por isso que o primeiro colocado abriu uma distância. Depois eu me concentrei, tentei me pilotar como eu fiz ontem no classificatório, fiz voltas rápidas, busquei o Mattia. Tentei ultrapassagens ali, mas a pilotagem dele é muito diferente da minha, então era difícil encontrar um espaço para passar, por isso que eu acabava saindo um pouco da trajetória. Mas no final, infelizmente, ele acabou caindo, espero que ele esteja bem. Mas eu quero esses 25 pontos para mim, estou muito feliz pela vitória. Só tenho a agradecer a toda a minha equipe, todos que torcem aí de casa. E vamos embora, amanhã tem outra, vamos para cima. Valeu.
Parabéns.
Thanks, Fran, and thanks to Eric Granado, race winner once again in MotoE. Matt Dunn, my commentary colleague, was nodding along as he unleashed that diatribe in Portuguese there. Understanding every word, no doubt, Matt.
Well, actually, to be fair, I've been speaking to Diogo Moreira quite a lot, actually, over the last few rounds, so doing his Portuguese interview after Moto3, so I'm getting there. Yes. Someday, maybe.
Absolutely, yeah. Eric Granado, 4th victory in the MotoE category this year. That's more victories than any other man in the series in 2022. His 9th overall. No rider has won more MotoE races in the series history going back to 2019. And he still has a pretty good chance of getting his first ever World Cup title 2 weeks' time in Misano.
The only problem is, well, you've still got Dominic Aegerter very much on form as well, but fortunately one more go at it tomorrow here. Then we have 75 points left up for grabs in the MotoE series in 2022. Last round obviously being in Misano in a few weeks' time.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a perfect weekend so far for that man. Pole position yesterday, a victory today. Can he do the full set tomorrow on Sunday? We have to remind ourselves, Matt, that these guys have had really limited running around this track in dry conditions. It was completely wet, I think, on Friday morning for FP1. They had a dry FP2, and then they were straight into qualifying. So, well, familiarization with the new track layout, also with bike setup, has really been condensed into just a couple of sessions. So understandable that not everyone was feeling completely comfortable with their settings in that race.
Yeah, exactly that. And when you get to FP2, you're concentrating on can you get directly into Q2 or Q1. They put 9 laps on average in a practice session in FP1, but that was mostly completely wet. And then it was around about 6 or 7 laps that everybody was able to put in whilst banging in soft tyres, going for that one-off lap time in FP2. But, well, it goes to show, though, as Casadei was top of those times, I mean, when it comes to the race, it is a different kettle of fish. I mean, although he was incredibly dominant, all the way until 2 corners to go. Not too much front brake. We don't know whether he was distracted by the rain flags or maybe just a drop of rain. A couple of too many drops in that corner got the better of him. But either way, the result was the same. His race ended in the gravel. But we'll be seeing these 3 come out on the podium then. Mikel Pons, that is his 3rd podium of the season. He got one in race 2 in Jerez, got one in race 2 in Mugello. And today, he gets his 3rd of the season. Aegerter, well, that's yet another podium for him. Only 2 times off the podium in 2022. And Eric Granado, Well, that is his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth visit to the podium here. You know what's throwing me off? It's the 0.5s on the championship classification. I can't deal with it.
You were using all your fingers there when you were cutting that.
Well then, that is Alessio Pathé NLX Way Smart Racing Circuit Manager presenting the trophy to Mikel Pons. Oh, it's different now. Normally they get the old big X, don't they? But no, something new for MotoE now. Maybe there was complaints from airlines on luggage space, because they're pretty big, weren't they? Tommy Aegerter then gets a second place trophy. That one might mean more than most other second place trophies. It could well take him on towards winning the World Cup title in 2022. The same could be said for Eric Granado, who received the first place one. And is this the start of an epic comeback, chasing down Aegerter with 75 points to go? It's all to play for in MotoE. And now then, I guess it's time for the Brazilian national anthem, one of our favourites. Only a few guarantees in life, death, taxes, and then everybody loving the Brazilian national anthem. It's fantastic, isn't it? I mean, yeah, what a great show that is. And now it's time for the Prosecco being thrown all over Parc Ferme and pit lane there. The teams will absolutely love that. Great to see the camaraderie between our three podium finishers as well, Aegerter, Granado and Pons. That really was absolutely sensational racing.